Unit 2.5 Categorizing Information. Focus. Listen to part of a talk in a geography class.
Each biome is characterized chiefly by the dominant forms of plant life and the prevailing climate. The largest biome on Earth is the taiga. The taiga, also known as boreal or evergreen forest, is a broad band across North America, Europe, and Asia. Winters are long and cold, and summers are short, wet, and sometimes warm. Precipitation here is mostly in the form of snow. Moving northward, we have the Arctic tundra here, which extends northward from the taiga and circles the North Pole. The tundra is the northernmost limit for plants to grow. The vegetation is mostly a sort of shrubby, low, mat-like plant forms, and about 20% of Earth's land surface is tundra. We also have alpine tundra, a biome found on high mountaintops. Alpine tundra occurs in all latitudes. That means even in the tropics, anywhere the elevation is high enough. Here, above the tree line, strong winds and cold temperatures create plant communities similar to those of the Arctic tundra.
Match each biome with the correct description. Exercise 2.5a. Question 1. Listen to a musicologist talk about drums.
Drums can be divided according to shape. Some of the types are tubular, vessel, and frame drums. One of the most common tubular drums is the long drum. A lot of long drums are cylindrical. They have the same diameter from top to bottom, like this Polynesian drum. This drum was carved from a length of tree trunk and has a single skin head. For vessel drums, we have the kettle drum. Kettle drums have a single membrane stretched over a pot or vessel body. Vessel drums come in a variety of sizes, from the very large drums of Africa to the very compact and portable drums, like this one from Hawaii. The third type I want you to see is the frame drum. A frame drum consists of one or two membranes stretched over a simple frame, which is usually made of thin wood. The frame is shallow, which adds little resonance when the skin is beaten. A lot of frame drums, like this Turkish tar, have metal jingles attached to the rim.
Match each type of drum with the correct picture. Questions 2 through 3. Listen to a biology professor talk about caves.
The interior of a cave is divided into 3 zones. The entrance zone may serve as a place of shelter for animals or people. Prehistoric humans used entrance zones of caves as shelters and burial grounds. Therefore, such zones are of interest to archaeologists, as they provide clues to the habitat of early human beings. The next zone is called the twilight zone. The twilight zone is sheltered from direct sunlight and is home to a large, diverse population of animals, such as salamanders, bats, and during severe winters, bears. The third zone, the dark zone, is the true cave environment. Perpetually dark, it has only slight seasonal changes in temperature, few, if any, air currents, and a constant relative humidity of nearly 100%. In the dark zone live animals that have adapted to the world of darkness, including small shrimp, beetles, spiders, and fish. These animals are usually blind, and some lack eyes altogether. Since no green plants grow in caves, these animals depend largely on food that is washed in by streams or mud.
Number 2. Which creatures have lived in each cave zone? Number 3. Indicate whether each item below characterizes the dark zone of a cave. Questions 4 through 5. Listen to a psychology professor talk about personality types.
The theory of personality types suggests there are pairs of what are known as type preferences. Type preferences are not the same as character traits that can be worked on and changed. Rather, they're preferred ways of being in the world, different ways of experiencing daily life. One well-known pair of type preferences is extroversion-introversion. Some people are extroverts and some are introverts. Extroverted people are by nature continuously aware of events outside of themselves. Extroverts turn outward to the world around them to pick up ideas, values, and interests. Extroverts, therefore, usually have a variety of interests and sort of take an active approach to life. Introversion is just the opposite. Introverts look inward for resources. Introverts pursue fewer interests, but on a much deeper level. They sort of take a reflective approach to life. What I mean is, they involve themselves in inner events, ideas, and impressions. Introverted people usually prefer to learn in private, individual ways.
Number 4. Indicate whether each phrase below describes an extrovert or an introvert. Number 5. What type of assignment would an introverted student probably prefer? Questions 6 through 10. Listen to a talk given by an economics instructor.
One of the major problems in our economy is inflation, a situation in which prices are going up faster than wages. Thus, a person has to work more hours to pay for the same items. For example, let's say that this year a loaf of bread costs $1, and the average salary in the United States is $10 per hour. That means a person could earn enough money to buy a loaf of bread in 1/10 of an hour or 6 minutes. Then, halfway through the year, the price of the bread goes up to $1.25, while wages stay the same. That means that a person now has to work 1/8 of an hour, 7.5 minutes, to buy the same loaf of bread. Now let's say that at the end of the year, wages go up to $11 per hour, but the price of bread goes up to $1.50. Now a person has to work more than 1/7 of an hour, over 8 minutes, to buy the same loaf of bread. As you can see, if more and more work time is spent earning money to buy loaves of bread, employees will have less money left over to buy other things. Inflation means that the same money buys fewer things, and everybody's standard of living goes down, even if salaries are going up. Some kinds of inflation are worse than others. Moderate inflation does not distort relative prices or incomes severely. Galloping inflation happens rapidly, say at a rate of 100% or more within a year. And then there is hyperinflation, inflation so severe that people try to get rid of their currency before prices rise further and render the money worthless. Times of hyperinflation are usually characterized by social and political turmoil.
Number 6. What is the main purpose of the talk? Number 7. Why does the instructor talk about a loaf of bread? Number 8. What happens when prices go up, but salaries remain the same? Numbers 9 and 10. Based on the information in the talk, indicate whether each sentence below describes moderate inflation, galloping inflation, or hyperinflation. Exercise 2.5b. Questions 1 through 5. Listen to a career counselor talk about two different types of employees.
Are you going to be more effective and happy as a specialist or as a generalist? Do you find real satisfaction in the precision, order, and system of a clearly laid out job? Or are you one of those people who tend to grow impatient with anything that looks like a routine job? There are a great many careers in which the emphasis is on specialization. You find these careers in engineering and in accounting, in production, in statistical work, and in teaching. But there's an increasing demand for people who are able to take in a great area at a glance. There is, in other words, a demand for people who are capable of seeing the forest rather than the trees, of making overall judgments. And these generalists are particularly needed for administrative positions, where it is their job to see that other people do the work, where they have to plan for other people, to organize other people's work, to initiate it, and appraise it. Specialists understand one field. Their concern is with technique, tools, media. They are trained people, and their educational background is technical or professional. Generalists, and especially administrators, deal with people. Their concern is with leadership, with planning, with direction, and with coordination. They are educated people, and the humanities are their strongest foundation. Any organization needs both kinds of people, although different organizations need them in different ratios. It is your job to find out, during your college years, into which of these two job categories you fit, and to plan your career accordingly.
Number 1. What is the purpose of the talk? Number 2. According to the speaker, which people are likely to be specialists? Number 3. Based on the information in the talk, indicate whether each characteristic below more accurately describes a specialist or a generalist. Number 4. According to the speaker, why are generalists needed in administrative positions? Number 5. What can be inferred from the talk? Questions 6 through 10. Listen to part of a talk in a botany class.
There are several common leaf arrangements in wildflowers. In the usual arrangement, the one called alternate, each leaf is attached at a different level on the stem. This poppy is a good example. See how there's a leaf here on the right side, and above that a leaf on the left here, and above that one on the right again, and so on, alternating right and left all the way up the stem. Another type is the opposite arrangement. Notice the difference between the alternate leaves on the poppy and the opposite leaves on this bee plant. The bee plant's leaves are paired on opposite sides of the stem. See how they're attached at the same level of the stem, but on opposite sides. And here we have yet another kind. This one's called basal, and our example is the amaryllis. Notice how all the leaves are at ground level at the stem's base. The amaryllis, this particular plant, and all other members of the amaryllis family, it has narrow basal leaves and a long leafless stalk. I have some lovely samples to share with you today. I'd like you all to come up and examine the contents of these two tables. Many of them are specimens of the sunflower family, which includes several species with alternate and opposite leaves. Take a good look and see if you can identify the three types of arrangements. It's okay to handle, but let me ask you to please handle with care, as some of them are quite delicate.
Number 6. How does the instructor organize the information that she presents? Number 7. Select the drawing that best shows the alternate leaf arrangement. Numbers 8 and 9. Based on the information in the talk, indicate whether each sentence below describes the alternate, opposite, or basal leaf arrangement. Number 10. What will the students probably do next?